They tell you that war is measured in caliber. They tell you it is measured in the thunder of artillery, the screams of the dying, and the miles of scorched earth taken by tank treads. They are wrong. War is measured in ink. It is measured in the microscopic fibers of a French identity card. It is measured in the specific, bureaucratic shade of blue that the prefecture of police uses to stamp a death sentence. My name is Elias. I am 19 years old. I do not carry a rifle. I do not throw grenades. I sit in a room that smells of rot and acid while the world burns outside my blackout curtains. In the next hour, I will not kill a German soldier, but if my hand remains steady, if my eyes do not fail me, I will birth 30 human beings. I am a forger, and this is how we cheat the devil. Chapter 1: The Chemistry of Erasure. Paris, January 1944, 02 unlecked hours. The silence of the room is heavier than the darkness. It is a physical weight pressing against my eardrums, amplified by the blackout curtains that have been nailed shut against the window frames for 6 months. The only sound is the sound of my own biology, the wet, ragged intake of breath through my nose, the rhythmic thumping of blood in my temples, thump hiss, a drumbeat of exhaustion that never stops, and the sound of the pen, scritch, scritch, pause. I am hunched over a wooden table that I scavenged from a bombed-out bakery in the 11th arrondissement. The wood is scarred and dusted with flour that has long since turned to gray paste, but I have scrubbed a 6-inch square clean. This is my operating theater. My weapon lies in the circle of yellow light cast by a single shaded bulb. It is a needle, not a sewing needle, but a hypodermic tip I stole from a veterinary clinic. I have filed it down until it is thinner than a human hair. Beside it sits a small glass vial. The liquid inside is clear, innocuous. To the untrained eye, it looks like water. But when I unscrew the cap, the smell hits me. A sharp, stinging slap of lactic acid, mixed with a drop of bleach. It smells like a swimming pool, but concentrated, angry. It smells like burning. I blink, trying to clear the fog from my vision. My eyes feel gritty, as if someone has rubbed them with fine sandpaper. The fumes. They are eating my corneas, day by day. Sometimes, when I look at the wall, I see halos around the cracks in the plaster, but I cannot stop to blink. On the table is a French rationing card. It belongs, or it belonged, to a woman named Sarah Goldenberg. I look at the name. I look at the red stamp across the top. 3 letters, J-U-I-F, Jew. It is not just a word, it is a target. It is a train ticket to the east. It is the end of the world printed in red dye. My job is to make Sarah Goldenberg disappear, so that a woman named Marie Durieux can take her place. I dip the tip of the needle into the acid. I do not take a drop. A drop is a flood. A drop would dissolve the paper, leaving a hole that screams, "Forgery!" to any gendarme at a checkpoint. No, I take only the memory of a drop. A sheen of moisture on the metal. I hold my breath. My lungs burn, demanding oxygen, but I deny them. If I breathe, my chest moves. If my chest moves, my arm shifts. If my arm shifts, Sarah dies. I lower the needle. Scritch. I touch the metal to the top of the letter J. The red ink reacts instantly. It doesn't vanish. It lifts. It unhooks itself from the fibers of the cheap, wartime paper. I work in the space between heartbeats. I can feel the pulse in my fingertips, a tiny tremor that threatens to ruin everything. I have to time the movement of the needle between the tremors. Scritch. Wipe. I use a scrap of blotting paper to soak up the dissolved red ink. Scritch. Wipe. The J is gone, but the paper is wet. It is vulnerable. This is the moment of greatest danger. If I press too hard, the surface will pill, creating a rough texture. A German officer, bored at a metro station, might run his thumb over the card. If he feels a roughness, he pulls his Luger. I lean closer. My nose is inches from the chemical. The smell is dizzying. I can taste the copper tang of adrenaline in the back of my throat. My stomach cramps. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning. A piece of stale bread and coffee made from roasted acorns. It sits in my gut like a stone. The U is next. The curve is difficult. The red ink has soaked deep into the grain here. I have to tease it out, fiber by fiber. I am a surgeon operating on a patient made of wood pulp. Outside, a truck backfires. Bang! My hand jerks. I freeze. The needle hovers a millimeter above the paper. Cold sweat breaks out instantly on the back of my neck, pricking the skin like 1,000 ice needles. I listen. Heavy boots on cobblestones? No, just the wind rattling the gutter. I exhale, a long, shaky breath that creates a cloud of condensation in the freezing room. The coal ran out 3 days ago. The temperature inside is perhaps 5 degrees. My fingers are stiff, the joints swollen and aching, screaming for warmth. I rub them together, skin against skin, trying to generate friction, but they feel like dead things attached to my wrists. I return to the I, then the F. 10 minutes pass, or maybe an hour. Time has no meaning here. There is only the task. Finally, the word is gone. Where the red stamp was, there is now only pale, cream-colored paper. But it is too clean. It looks suspiciously new. I reach for my second tool, a small tin of dust. Dust I collected from the floor of the metro, mixed with a little graphite shavings. I dip the pad of my index finger into the dust, then gently, so gently, rub it over the erased area. I blow on it. Sarah Goldenberg is gone. The card is blank. Now, I must give her a new soul. I pick up the fountain pen. I filled it earlier with the Waterman Blue, a specific ink blend I spent 3 weeks perfecting. It has to match the exact shade used by the town hall of the 14th arrondissement in 1942. Too dark, and it looks fake. Too watery, and it bleeds. I write Marie Durieux. I write Born in Lyon. I write Catholic. The ink glistens, wet and alive. It dries into the paper, becoming truth. This piece of paper is now a shield. It is a suit of armor that will deflect bullets. I set the card aside on the drying rack, next to 5 others. 6 lives. I lean back in the chair, my spine cracking audibly. I rub my eyes, and for a moment, the room goes pitch black. Panic flares in my chest. Has the blindness finally taken me? But then the yellow spot of the bulb fades back into view. I look at my hands. They are stained with blue, with yellow acid burns, with charcoal. They are the hands of a criminal. There is a rhythm to this work, a hypnotic, deadly rhythm. Erase, dry, dirty, rewrite. Erase, dry, dirty, rewrite. It is a factory line of salvation. But tonight is different. There is a knock at the door. It is not the thunderous pounding of the Gestapo. It is a specific code. Tap, 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 tap. I do not move immediately. I count to 5. This is the protocol. If there are footsteps behind the door, or voices, I am to throw the chemicals into the bucket of ash and light the papers. Silence. I stand up. My legs are numb. I walk to the door, the floorboards groaning under my boots. I slide the bolt back. The door opens a crack. A blast of freezing night air hits me, smelling of wet pavement and coal smoke. A figure slips inside, wrapped in a wet wool coat. It is Henri. He is the courier. He is 16, but his face looks 50. His eyes are hollowed out, dark circles bruising the skin beneath them. He is shaking, but not from the cold. Elias, he whispers. He doesn't look at me. He looks at the table, at the 6 cards. 6? He asks. His voice is brittle. The acid is weak, I say, my voice raspy from disuse. I have to work slower. The fibers are tearing. Henri closes his eyes. He leans against the doorframe, sliding down until he is crouching on the floor. He reaches into his coat. He pulls out a bundle. It is wrapped in brown butcher paper, tied with twine. It is thick, heavy. He slides it across the floor towards me. What is this? I ask. An orphanage, Henri says. He looks up at me, and I see tears tracking through the grime on his cheeks. The convent at St. Denis. The Mother Superior. She got a tip. A raid. Thursday morning. Thursday. Today is Monday. They are coming for the children, Elias. All of them. I stare at the bundle. How many? I ask. The words feel like stones in my mouth. Henri swallows. We need birth certificates, ration cards, baptismal records, for all of them. How many, Henri? He looks at the drying rack, at my 6 pitiful cards. 300, he says. We need 300 complete sets. By Wednesday night. I look at the bundle. I look at my shaking hands. I look at the bottle of acid, which is half empty. 300 children. That means 900 documents. In 48 hours. It's impossible, I whisper. I can't. My eyes. The acid won't last. Henri stands up. He grips my shoulders. His fingers dig into my flesh through my sweater. Then choose, he says. His voice is hard now. Open the package, Elias. Look at the photos. Pick the ones who live, and pick the ones who get on the train. He lets go of me and turns to the door. I will be back for the first batch at dawn. The door clicks shut. I am alone again. I stare at the brown paper bundle. It sits on the floor like an unexploded bomb. 300 faces, 900 documents, 48 hours. I walk to the table. I sit down. I unscrew the cap of the acid bottle. The smell hits me again, the smell of burning. I pick up the needle. Micro moment completed. Chapter 2. The Weight of Ghosts. Paris. January 1944. 02:45 hours. I do not touch the package immediately. It sits on the floorboards, a brown brick of butcher paper and twine, illuminated by the cone of yellow light from the ceiling. It looks innocuous. It looks like a parcel of meat from the butcher, or a stack of laundry. But I know what it is. It is a mass grave, waiting to be filled or emptied. I slide off the chair, my knees cracking, a sharp, dry sound like a pistol shot in the silence. The cold of the floor seeps instantly through my trousers, biting into my skin. The room is so cold that the air feels thick, viscous. When I move my hand, I imagine I can feel the drag of the atmosphere against my skin. I reach for the bundle. The twine is rough, hairy. It digs into my fingertips. Whoever tied this was angry or scared. The knots are tight, frantic. I do not cut them. Scissors are for tailors. I pick at the knot with my fingernails, which are black with graphite and stained blue with ink. I pull at the fibers, teasing the loop open. It takes 5 minutes just to undo the knot. I force myself to go this slow. Panic is a speed. Survival is a rhythm. If I rush the knot, I will rush the ink. If I rush the ink, the stamp will smudge. If the stamp smudges, a child dies. The twine falls away, curling onto the floor like a dead snake. I unfold the butcher paper. It crinkles loudly, a cacophony in the stillness. And there they are, photographs, hundreds of them. They spill out like a deck of cards dropped by a losing gambler. Small, square, black and white portraits. Most are passport size, 35 millimeters by 45 millimeters. I pick up the first one, a boy, maybe 7 years old. He has large ears that stick out, catching the light of the flash. His hair is combed flat, parted severely on the left. He is not smiling. None of them are smiling. In 1944, even the children have forgotten how to smile for a camera. His eyes are wide, dark, staring straight into the lens, staring straight at me. I flip the photo over, pencil scrawl on the back. David Wiseman, born 1937. I set him down. I pick up the next, a girl. Curly hair, a ribbon that looks white but was probably pink or yellow. She is looking away from the camera, distracted by something. Maybe a toy, maybe a soldier. Rachel Cogan, born 1939. I set her down next to David. I pick up another, and another, and another. Soon, the table is covered. They are staring at me. 300 pairs of eyes. 300 souls trapped in silver nitrate and paper pulp. The smell rises from the pile. The distinct, sour scent of developing chemicals, mixed with the musty odor of the damp basement where these must have been hidden. I feel a wave of nausea. It starts in my stomach and rises to my throat, tasting of bile. The sheer volume of it. It is not a task. It is an avalanche. I look at the clock on the wall. It is a cheap tin alarm clock, the ticking loud and metallic. Tick, tick, tick. Each second is a hammer blow. I do the math. I cannot help it. My brain seeks order in the chaos. 300 children. Each needs a ration card. Each needs a birth certificate, a baptismal extract. Each needs a fake identity card. 900 documents. I have 40-odd hours until Wednesday night. 900 divided by 40. That is roughly 22 documents per hour, one every 3 minutes. I laugh. It is a dry, hacking sound that scrapes my throat. 1 document every 3 minutes? It takes 20 minutes just to bleach a passport correctly. It takes 10 minutes to dry the ink. It is impossible, I say to the room. My voice sounds foreign, thin and reedy. It cannot be done. The boy, David Wiseman, stares at me from the table. Try, his eyes say. Try, or I burn. I stand up. I begin to pace. 3 steps to the wall, turn. 3 steps to the table, turn. The wooden floorboards have worn smooth under this pacing over the last 6 months. I need a system. I cannot treat these as art. I must treat them as industry. I must become a factory. I go to the corner of the room where I keep my supplies. I drag a second table, a wobbly card table, next to the main desk. I arrange the chemicals. Station 1, the bleach. I pour the lactic acid into a shallow ceramic saucer. It increases the surface area, makes it easier to dip. The fumes intensify instantly. My eyes begin to water. I blink rapidly, squeezing out hot tears that track through the dirt on my face. Station 2, the drying. I take a piece of wire and string it between the back of the chair and the window latch. I have a box of wooden clothespins. This will be the drying line. Station 3, the resurrection. The ink. I open 3 bottles of Waterman Blue. I check the consistency. I add a single drop of gum arabic to the second bottle to thicken it, to make it look older, clotted. This will be for the birth certificates. They must look like they were signed 5 years ago, not 5 minutes ago. I sit down. The chair groans. I take the first blank ration card from my stack. I stole these stack by stack from a distracted clerk at the mairie of the 11th arrondissement 3 weeks ago. I walked out with them under my coat, sweating so hard I ruined my shirt. I look at the photo of David Weissman. "Goodbye, David," I whisper. I dip the pen. "Hello, Jean-Claude," I say. I write, Jean-Claude, surname Hubert. I chose Hubert because it is common. Invisibility is the goal. We do not want unique names. We want names that slide off the tongue of a gendarme like water off a duck. We want names that are so boring they become invisible. I glue David's photo onto the card. The glue is a mixture of flour and water I boiled on a hot plate. It is lumpy. I have to flatten it with my thumb, pressing down hard, spreading the paste to the edges. Now comes the hard part, the stamp. The photo must be stamped with the official seal of the prefecture to prove it is legitimate. The stamp must go over the edge of the photo and onto the paper. I do not have the official rubber stamp. It is made of vulcanized rubber and kept in a steel safe in the police station. But I have something else. I reach into my pocket and pull out a raw potato. It is soft, starting to sprout eyes. I cut it in half with a razor blade. The flesh is white, wet, starchy. I take my needle. I look at a real stamp on an old document for reference. It is a complex design. Marianne, the symbol of France, surrounded by text. République Française. I begin to carve the potato. This is not chemistry, this is sculpture. I have to carve the image in reverse. I have to carve the negative space. I work under the magnifying glass. The potato flesh is yielding, but it is treacherous. If I cut too deep, the stamp will smudge. If I don't cut deep enough, the letters will be blobs. Scritch, slice, flick. Tiny pieces of potato fly onto the table. My hand cramps. The muscles between my thumb and forefinger lock up. A spasm of pain that shoots up my forearm. I drop the razor. "No," I hiss. I shake my hand. I bite the fleshy part of my palm, hard, until I taste blood. The pain shocks the muscles loose. I pick up the razor. 10 minutes. I finish the carving. It looks rough, crude, but ink is forgiving. Ink spreads. I paint the potato face with blue ink. I breathe out, emptying my lungs completely to stop the trembling of my ribcage. I press the potato onto the edge of David's, no, Jean-Claude's, photo. I rock it gently. Left, right, top, bottom. Apply pressure, but not too much. I lift it, a perfect blue circle. République Française. It looks official. It looks like authority. It looks like safety. I hang the card on the wire. 1 down. 899 to go. I look at the clock. That took 12 minutes. I am already behind schedule. I grab the next card. The girl, Rachel. I work. Time begins to dissolve. The room ceases to be a room. It becomes a tunnel. The only reality is the circle of light, the tip of the pen, and the smell of the acid. Dip, right, glue, stamp. Dip, right, glue, stamp. My world shrinks. I become aware of the texture of the paper, the microscopic hills and valleys of the pulp. I become aware of the sound of the ink soaking into the fibers, a wet, whispered hiss that only I can hear. 1 hour passes. 2. I have done 20 sets. My eyes are burning. It feels as if someone has poured sand under my eyelids. The fumes from the bleach are trapped in the room. I should open a window, but I can't. The blackout. If I open the window, the light will escape. If the light escapes, the neighbors will see. If the neighbors see, the police come. So I sit in the gas chamber of my own making. I start to cough, a dry, racking cough that shakes my whole body. I cover my mouth with my sleeve. When I pull it away, there are specks of black phlegm. I reach for the bottle of water I keep under the table. It is empty. I lick my cracked lips. I pick up the next photo. A teenage boy, older, maybe 15. He has a defiant look, a scar on his chin. I stare at him, and then he blinks. I jerk back, knocking the ink bottle. I catch it just before it tips. A splash of blue ink flies out, landing on the table, inches from the stack of blank cards. My heart hammers against my ribs like a trapped bird. I look at the photo again. The boy is still, just a photo. "You are tired, Elias," I whisper. "You are seeing things." But the fear is cold in my veins. If I hallucinate, I make mistakes. If I make mistakes, I look at the ink splash on the table. It is dark, spreading like a pool of blood. I grab a rag and wipe it up frantically. The smell of the ink is overpowering now. Iron and oak galls. I need to sleep, just for 10 minutes, just to rest my eyes. I look at the drying line. 20 faces, 20 children who are now Catholic, who are now French. I look at the pile on the table. Hundreds remain. If I sleep, 10 of them die. That is the exchange rate. 10 minutes of sleep equals 10 tickets to Auschwitz. I pick up the razor blade. I hold it over my own arm. I make a small cut on my forearm. Not deep, just enough to sting. Just enough to make the blood bead. The pain is sharp. It wakes me up. It clears the fog. "Work," I command myself. I pick up the pen. Scritch, scritch. Outside, the city of Paris sleeps under the Nazi boot. But in this room, on this table, I am fighting a war, and I am losing. Chapter 3. The Artisan of Lies. Paris, January 1944. 05:30 hours. The silence of the night has changed. It is no longer the heavy, suffocating blanket of midnight. It is thinned, stretched taut by the approaching dawn. I am no longer a person. I am a machine made of meat and bone, fueled by fear. My hand has detached itself from my body. I watch it move under the yellow light as if it belongs to someone else. It is a claw, the fingers hooked permanently into the shape of the pen barrel. The skin is stained an indigo blue, the ink having seeped into the whorls of my fingerprints, marking me. Dip, scratch, pause. I am working on the birth certificates now. These are harder than the ration cards. They require variation. If a German officer stops a group of 10 children and checks their papers, and every single certificate has the exact same handwriting, the same loop on the L, the same slant on the T, he will know. Uniformity is death. Chaos is life. So I must become an actor. For the first batch, I was a bored clerk from the 1930s, with a heavy hand and a dull nib. I pressed hard, splaying the metal tip of the pen to make thick, ugly lines. For the second batch, I was a meticulous old woman, writing with a fine, sharp point, crossing my sevens with geometric precision. Now, for this batch, the children from the village of Lyon, I must be someone else. I shift the pen to hold it between my index and middle finger. It is awkward. It makes my writing jagged, upright, impatient. Name, Pierre Delacroix. Date of birth, 12 May 1936. I look at the photo. A boy with sad eyes and a mouth that looks like he has been biting his lip. His real name was Joseph. Pierre, I whisper to the photo. You are Pierre now. Pierre likes football. Pierre goes to Mass on Sundays. Pierre does not speak Yiddish. I hate myself. With every stroke of the pen, I am erasing a history. I am taking the legacy of 1,000 years of ancestors, the prayers, the songs, the struggles, and I am washing it away with blue ink. I am saving the body, but I am killing the name. Is this what God feels like? Or is this what a murderer feels like? I reach for the blotting paper. My hand spasms. It is not a twitch. It is a seizure of the muscle. The tendons in my forearm contract violently, pulling my fingers into a tight fist. Snap. The sound is sickeningly loud. The pen. I look down. The Bakelite barrel of the fountain pen has snapped in my grip. The nib is bent at a 90-degree angle, like a broken leg. Ink, black this time for the certificates, bleeds out onto the table, pooling rapidly around the document I just finished. No, I gasp. I lunge for the paper, snatching it up before the black tide touches it. I hold it in the air, my heart hammering against my ribs. It is safe, but the pen is dead. I stare at the broken plastic in my hand. It was my best pen, a Parker Duofold, reliable, smooth. I throw the pieces into the corner. They hit the wall with a hollow clack. I have others. I have a jar of nibs and holders, but they are cheap, wartime steel. They scratch, they rust, they fight the paper. I pick up a wooden holder and jam a rusted nib into it. I dip it. Scritch scratch. It sounds like a rat gnawing on wood. The friction is wrong. It drags. I have to adjust. I have to change the angle of my wrist. The pain in my arm is a dull, throbbing fire now, running from my fingertips to my shoulder. I ignore it. Pain is just a signal. I cut the wire. I look at the stack. 40 sets complete. It is not enough. It is nowhere near enough. The dawn is coming. I can feel it. The temperature in the room has dropped. That specific, biting chill that comes just before sunrise. The darkness outside the window is turning a bruised purple. I need to bleach more papers. I stand up to move to the chemical table. The world tilts. The floor rushes up to meet my face. I catch myself on the edge of the table, the wood digging into my hip. My vision swims, gray spots dancing in front of my eyes. I am starving. I am dehydrated. And the fumes. I look at the bottle of lactic acid. It is fuming gently. I stumble to the window. I need air, just a crack. I pull the heavy velvet curtain aside an inch. I unlatch the window. The sound of Paris enters. It is 6 o'clock. The curfew is lifting. I hear the squeal of the brakes of a streetcar blocks away. I hear the clip-clop of a horse-drawn cart delivering coal. And then, closer, much closer. Rumble. An engine. A heavy diesel engine. Idling. I freeze. I press my face to the crack in the blackout curtain. Down on the street, 3 stories below, a gray truck is parked. A canvas-covered Opel Blitz. The engine is running, pumping white exhaust into the freezing air. 2 soldiers are standing by the back gate. Their helmets gleam dully in the low light. They are smoking. I can see the cherry-red embers of their cigarettes. They are right in front of the building. Are they coming here? Did someone see the light? Did the smell of the chemicals leak under the door and drift down the stairwell? I stop breathing. My heart is a frantic drum in my ears. Boom, 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 boom. One of the soldiers laughs, a sharp, barking sound. He stomps his boots on the pavement to warm them. He looks up, straight at my window. I jerk back, letting the curtain fall. I stand in the darkness of the room, shaking. If they come up, they will find the photos. They will find the stamps. They will find the Jews. I look at the bucket of ash in the corner. I have a box of matches in my pocket. The protocol is clear. Burn everything. I look at the drying line. 40 faces. 40 children who are almost saved. If I burn them, I kill them. I stand there, the matchbox in my hand, listening, waiting for the sound of the front door being kicked in, waiting for the heavy tramp of boots on the stairs. The engine revs. Vroom. The gears grind. The sound moves away, fading down the street. I exhale, collapsing back into the chair. I am weeping. I didn't realize it, but tears are streaming down my face, stinging the raw skin of my cheeks. I wipe them away with my ink-stained hands, leaving blue streaks across my face like war paint. Get up, I whisper. Get up, Elias. There is a soft tap at the door. Tap. Tap, tap. Tap. Henri. I stumble to the door and open it. Henri stands there. He looks worse than he did 4 hours ago. He is pale, his lips blue with cold. He is carrying a small metal pail. He slips inside and locks the door behind him. He looks at me, and his eyes widen. Elias, he says softly, you look like a corpse. I am fine, I croak. How is the street? Clear, for now. There was a patrol truck. I saw it. Henri walks to the drying line. He touches one of the cards gently. Jean-Claude Hubert, he reads. He smiles, a sad, broken smile. I knew this boy. His name was David. His name is Jean-Claude, I say sharply. Do not use the old names, not even in here. The walls listen. Henri nods. He uncovers the pail. I brought you soup, turnip and water, but it's hot. The smell of the soup hits me, and my stomach cramps violently. I grab the pail and drink directly from the rim, the hot liquid scalding my throat. It tastes like dirt, but it is the best thing I have ever tasted. How many? Henri asks, looking at the stack. 40, I say. Henri's face falls. 40? The pen broke. The acid is slow. I had to carve a new stamp. Elias, Henri says. He grips my arm. The convoy trucks are already gathering at the depot. We have heard rumors. They are moving the schedule up. They might come for the orphanage tomorrow morning. Not Thursday. Tomorrow morning. That means tonight is the deadline. I look at the clock. It is 06:30. I have 24 hours to do 860 documents. I need help, I say. I can't do it alone. I need someone to glue, someone to dry. I need hands. It's too dangerous, Henri says. More people means more noise, more chance of a leak. If I do this alone, 200 children die, I shout. My voice cracks. Do you understand? I am physically failing. My eyes. I can't focus on the grain anymore. Henri looks at me. He sees the blood on my arm where I cut myself. He sees the tremors in my hands. Okay, he says. Okay, I will find someone. But Elias, he points to the window. The sun is up. You have to work in the daylight now, without the light bulb. He is right. If I use the electric light during the day and the blackout curtains are up, it looks suspicious from the street. But if I open the curtains to use natural light, I risk being seen. I have to work in the twilight of the room, with the curtains pinned just slightly open, allowing a beam of gray winter light to fall onto the desk. Take the 40, I say. Get them to the convent. Get them safe. Henri gathers the documents. He wraps them in a newspaper. I will be back, he says. Keep working. Don't stop. He leaves. I am alone again. I move the table to the sliver of light near the window. It is a gray, flat light. It makes the paper look dead. I pick up the next photo. A baby. My God, a baby. He cannot be more than 6 months old. He is wrapped in a blanket. He has no hair, just a fuzz. How do you make a fake identity for a baby? He has no history to erase. He is innocent. The Germans kill babies. I feel a rage building in me, a hot, molten fury that burns brighter than the fatigue. I grab the pen. I dip it in the ink. I stab the nib onto the paper. Name. Michel. Just Michel. I work faster now. The rage drives me. I am no longer a surgeon. I am a soldier. The pen is a bayonet. Scritch. 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 I do not check for mistakes. I trust the muscle memory. I trust the rage. 1 hour. 10 sets. 2 hours. 20 sets. I am flying. But then, the chemistry betrays me. I open the last bottle of Waterman Blue. It is empty. I shake it. A single drop falls out. I look at the shelf. Empty. I have run out of the specific blue ink that matches the 1942 ration cards. I have black ink. I have red ink. But the blue, the specific, bureaucratic, indifferent blue of the French Republic, is gone. I sit there, the empty bottle in my hand. I cannot forge without the ink. I have to make it. I am a chemist. I know the formula. Iron sulfate, gallic acid, gum arabic, and a blue pigment, Prussian blue or indigo. I have the acids. I have the gum. I do not have the pigment. I look around the room. The peeling wallpaper, the dirty mattress, the bucket of ash. Where can I find blue in a world that has turned gray? I look at my own clothes, my shirt. It is a faded, workman's blue cotton. No, the dye is not soluble enough. I look at the corner where the previous tenant left some trash, a pile of old magazines, l'illustration. I crawl over to the pile. I flip through the pages, black and white photos, war propaganda, Marshal Pétain shaking hands with Hitler, and then a full-page advertisement for soap, Savon de Marseille. The background is a deep, rich blue sky. It is printer's ink, oil-based, not water-based. It won't work in a fountain pen. It will clog the nib instantly. I sit back on my heels. I want to scream. To be stopped by this? By a lack of color? Think, Elias, think. What makes blue? Copper sulfate? I have none. Methylene blue? From the medicine kit? I scramble to my bag. I pull out the small first aid kit Henri left weeks ago. Bandages, aspirin, iodine, brown, and a small glass bottle, gentian violet, an antiseptic. It is purple. Deep, dark purple. If I mix it with a little bit of the yellow acid, yellow and purple make brown. No. If I dilute it, it becomes lilac. I need blue. I look at the window. The sky outside is blue. It mocks me. And then I remember. the laundry bluing. Every French housewife has a block of Reckitt's blue or a bag of indigo powder to make white sheets look whiter. I run to the small sink in the corner. There is a cupboard underneath. It is full of rat droppings and old rags. I dig through the filth. My hands touch something hard and round wrapped in muslin. I pull it out. A small blue cube. It is laundry blue, ultramarine. I crush it in the ceramic saucer. It turns to fine powder. I add water. It dissolves into a brilliant, shocking blue. It is too bright. It looks like a child's paint. I need to dull it, to make it look like government ink. I add a drop of the black ink. I stir it with the needle. The color swirls, deepening, darkening. I dip the pen. I test it on a scrap of paper. I hold it up to the light. It is perfect. It is the color of authority. I laugh. I am laughing hysterically in the empty room. I am making passports out of laundry soap and bleach. I refill the pen. Next, I say to the silence. I pick up the photo of the baby. Welcome to France, Michel. Chapter 4. The Blind Watchmaker. Paris, January 1944, 1300 hours. The sun is high over Paris now. I know this not because I can see it, but because the slice of light falling across my desk has shifted from a pale, bruised gray to a hard, indifferent white. It illuminates the dust motes dancing in the chemical fumes, swirling like microscopic galaxies. I am no longer writing, I am carving. My hand has become a separate entity, a crab made of bone and tendon that scuttles across the paper. The laundry blue ink flows well, surprisingly well, but it dries with a matte finish that worries me. I have to rub each signature with the back of a spoon to give it the slight sheen of oil-based bureaucratic ink. Write, blot, rub. Next. I have lost count. Is this the 100th child? The 200th? The pile of finished cards grows on the left. The pile of blank stares on the right diminishes, but not fast enough. The faces are beginning to blur together. The boys look like the girls. The toddlers look like old men. And then, the fog rolls in. It starts at the periphery of my vision, a milky whiteness, like the edges of a photograph that has been overexposed. It creeps inward, eating the room. I blink, trying to clear it. I rub my eyes with my knuckles until sparks of phantom light explode in my vision. But the white fog remains. The fumes, the lactic acid, the bleach, the lack of sleep. My corneas are swelling. I pick up the next photo. I bring it 2 inches from my nose. I squint. I cannot see the eyes. I see 2 dark smudges in a gray oval. No, I whisper. Not now. Panic, cold and sharp, spikes in my chest. If I cannot see the grain of the paper, I cannot erase the Jew stamp without tearing it. If I cannot see the line, I cannot sign the name on the dotted rule. I am a sniper who has gone blind. I lean back, gasping for air. The room spins. I am drowning in the whiteness. There is a knock at the door. 3 rapid taps, 1 slow. Henri. I stumble to the door, feeling my way along the wall. The plaster is cold and rough under my palm. I find the latch by memory. I open it. Henri is there, but he is not alone. I squint at the figure beside him. Small, slight, a wool cap pulled low. I brought you hands, Henri says. The figure steps into the room. It is a girl. She pulls off her cap. She has dark, tangled hair and eyes that are too big for her face. She cannot be more than 14. This is Mathilde, Henri says. She is quick. She can cut. She can glue. I look at her hands. They are small, red from the cold, but steady. Does she know? I start to ask. She knows, Henri says. Her brother is in the orphanage. The girl looks at me. She looks at the table covered in chemicals and photos. She does not flinch at the smell. Show me what to do, she says. Her voice is a whisper, but it is made of steel. I nod. I stumble back to the chair. Sit, I say, pointing to the card table. I explain the system. I hand her the scissors and the pot of flour paste. You cut the photos, I say. You paste them. You press them flat. Then you pass them to me. I write. I stamp. You take them and hang them to dry. She nods. She picks up the scissors. Snip, snip. We begin. The rhythm changes. It is no longer a solo performance. It is a duet. Snip, her. Paste, her. Slide, her. Write, me. Stamp, me. Hang, her. It is faster, much faster, but my eyes are failing. The white fog is closing in. I am writing by feel, relying on the muscle memory of 10,000 signatures. I am trusting that the pen is hitting the line. Mathilde, I say, check me. Check you? My eyes, I say. I do not look at her. The fumes. I am having trouble focusing. You must check every signature. If it crosses the line, or if it is crooked, you must tell me. We burn it. There is a silence. Then, the sound of paper rustling. This one, she says softly. The L in Marcel. It is broken. The pen skipped. I curse under my breath. Burn it. I hear the strike of a match. The smell of sulfur joins the chemical soup. Then the smell of burning paper. One child dead. One mistake. I am sorry, I whisper. Do it again, she says. She slides a fresh card in front of me. His name is Marcel. Do not fail him. I grip the pen. Her words are a whip. She is right. There is no room for pity here, only precision. I focus. I force my eyes to work, straining the muscles until my head throbs with a blinding migraine. I find the line. I write Marcel. Good, she says. We work. The hours bleed away. The light in the room shifts from white to gold, then to the gray of twilight. My world is reduced to the sound of Mathilde's breathing and the scratch of my nib. I start to hallucinate. It is subtle at first. The photos on the table seem to move. The children blink. One boy, a redhead, seems to smile at me. Stop smiling, I mutter. It is not safe to smile. Elias? Mathilde asks. Nothing, I say. Keep gluing. Then, the hallucinations get worse. I look down at a photo. It is a girl with dark curls. It is my sister, Adara. I freeze. The pen hovers over the paper. I haven't seen Adara in 2 years, not since the gendarmes took her and my parents. I was out. I was at the university, studying the molecular structure of polymers. I came home to an empty apartment and a half-eaten lunch on the table. I see her face on the card. She is looking at me with that look she used to give me when I teased her, a mixture of annoyance and love. Where were you? She asks. Her voice is in my head, clear as a bell. Why didn't you come for me? I couldn't, I whisper. Tears prick my eyes, hot and stinging. I didn't know. You are saving them, she says. But you didn't save me. My hand begins to shake, violently. The pen rattles against the paper. Elias! Mathilde's voice cuts through the fog. The ink! You are dripping! I jerk back. A drop of blue ink has fallen on Adara's face. It looks like a tear running down her cheek. I blink, hard. The face changes. It is not Adara. It is a stranger. A girl named Hannah. I put my head in my hands. I press my palms into my eye sockets until I see stars. I can't, I choke out. I can't see them anymore. They are all ghosts. I feel a small, cold hand on my arm. Elias, Mathilde says, look at me. I lift my head. She is blurry, a shadow in the dim room. My brother, she says. His name is Leo. He has a gap between his front teeth. He is 7. She pauses. If you stop, Leo dies. If you stop, I am alone. The weight of her words hits me like a physical blow. She is not asking for charity. She is telling me the facts of our existence. I take a deep breath. I pick up the bottle of water and splash it onto my face. The cold shock helps. Find Leo, I say. Find his photo. She digs through the pile of remaining photos. Here. She puts it in my hand. I look at it close up. A small boy. A gap-toothed grin. Okay, I say. Let's save Leo. I dip the pen, but as I write, my body begins to rebel in a new way. My fingers are cramping so badly they are curling into claws. The tendons are inflamed. I cannot hold the pen. It slips from my fingers and rolls across the table. I try to pick it up. My thumb and forefinger will not close. They are paralyzed. My hand, I say, staring at the useless claw. It won't work. Mathilde watches me. She sees the terror in my eyes. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out a strip of cloth, a rag. Bind it, she says. What? Bind the pen to your hand. She picks up the pen. She places it against my index finger. Then she wraps the rag tightly around my hand, lashing the pen to my flesh. She ties the knot with her teeth. It cuts off the circulation. It hurts, but the pen is fixed. I do not need to grip it. I only need to move my arm. I am no longer holding the weapon. I have become the weapon. Thank you, I say. Work, she says. We enter the final stretch. Night has fallen again. The blackout curtains are closed. We are back under the yellow bulb. The stack of finished identities is huge now. 600, 700, but the pile of blank faces is still there. Maybe 50 left, and we are out of time. I hear the sirens, not the air raid sirens, the police sirens. They are distant, but they are growing louder. It is the sweep, the curfew patrol, or maybe the raid on the orphanage has started early. Faster, I say. Snip, paste, slide, write, stamp. I am writing illegibly now. It doesn't matter. A bad signature is better than no signature. The glue is wet, Mathilde says. It won't dry in time. Use the heat, I say. We have no coal. Use the lamp, I command. Hold them to the bulb. Don't burn them. She stands on the chair, holding the wet cards inches from the hot light bulb. The room smells of scorching paper and damp flour. 40 left. 30. My vision is almost completely gone. I am seeing the world through a tunnel of gauze. I am guessing at the location of the stamp. Thump, thump, thump. 20 left. My arm is burning. The muscles are screaming. The rag cutting into my hand has stopped the blood flow. My fingers are purple. 10 left. Henri will be here any minute, Mathilde says. Her voice is tight. We are going to make it, I say. I don't know if I believe it. 5 left. And then the light bulb flickers. Once, twice, and dies. Total darkness. The filament has burned out. No, Mathilde whimpers. We are in pitch black. I cannot see the paper. I cannot see the ink. I cannot see the last 5 children. I sit there in the dark, the smell of the chemicals choking me. Do you have a candle? Mathilde asks. No. Matches? Only a few. I strike a match. The flame flares, small and yellow. It illuminates our terrified faces. It will burn for 15 seconds. 5 cards, I say. 15 seconds per match. I have 3 matches, I say. 45 seconds to save 5 lives. Get them ready, I tell her. Paste them in the dark. Line them up. Ready, she says from the darkness. I strike the match. Go. She slides the first card into the halo of light. I write, Jean, born 1938, stamp. Second card, Paul, born 1940, stamp. The match burns my fingers. I drop it. Darkness. 2 down, I say. 3 to go. I strike the second match. Third card, Marie. Fourth card, Luke. The flame wavers. It is dying. Last one, I shout. She slides the last card. It is a baby. I write C-. The match goes out. I am writing in the dark. I finish the name by feel. C-L-A-U-D-E. I reach for the stamp potato. I feel the edge of the paper. I press down. Did I hit the photo? Did I miss? I don't know. We sit in the silence. The sirens are closer now. And then, the secret knock. Tap. Tap, tap. Tap. Henri, Mathilde breathes. I stumble to the door and unlock it. Henri rushes in. He has a flashlight. The beam cuts through the room, blinding me further. They are crossing the bridge, he says, breathless. The trucks. We have 20 minutes. He looks at the table, at the mountain of documents. Did you finish? I look at Mathilde. She looks at me. We finished, I say. Henri starts shoving the papers into a suitcase. Mathilde, come. You have to carry the second bag. He looks at me. Elias, you come too. It is not safe here. I shake my head. I sink back into my chair. I can't, I say. I can't walk. My legs. I can't feel them. We can't leave you, Mathilde cries. Go, I roar. It is the last of my strength. If you stay, you are caught. If you are caught, the papers are found. If the papers are found, the children die. Go. Henri looks at me for 1 second. A look of devastating respect. He nods. He grabs Mathilde's hand. They run out the door. I am alone in the dark. My hand is still tied to the pen. I sit and listen to their footsteps fading down the stairs. I listen to the sirens. I wait. Chapter 5. The Blue Stain. Paris, January 1944, 05:55 hours. The silence returns, but it is different now. Before, the silence was empty, waiting to be filled with the scratch of my pen. Now, the silence is full. It is heavy with the echo of the closing door, with the lingering scent of Mathilde's fear, and with the knowledge of what is coming up the stairs. I do not move. I cannot. My legs have ceased to communicate with my brain. The cold of the floor has seeped up through the soles of my boots, turning my calves into stone. I am a statue carved from exhaustion and ice. I sit in the dark. The only light comes from the street lamps filtering through the thin gaps in the blackout curtains, faint, dusty ribbons of gray that do not reach the floor. I am conscious of my right hand. It rests on the table, a dead weight. The rag Mathilde tied is still there, biting into my wrist, cutting off the blood. The pen is still lashed to my index finger. I try to wiggle the finger. Nothing happens. The limb has atrophied. I have become fused with the tool. The man and the machine are one. I listen. Thump, thump, thump. Heavy boots. Not the scuffling of the neighbors. These are hobnailed soles striking wood. They are precise. They are angry. They are on the second floor. Now the third. I count them. 4 men? Maybe 5. I should be afraid. I should be looking for a weapon, or a window, or a prayer. But I feel nothing. I feel a strange, hollow lightness. It is the feeling of a vessel that has been poured completely out. There is not a drop of adrenaline left in my adrenal glands. There is not a gram of glucose in my blood. I have given everything. Every beat of my heart for the last 48 hours went into that paper. I am a husk. Thump. Thump. They are on the landing. I hear the low murmur of voices. German. The guttural, clipped consonants. Hier, Tür links. Here, door on the left. Then, the sound of metal on metal, the racking of a bolt, a Carabiner 98K rifle. I know the sound well. It is the sound of the new order. I close my eyes. It makes no difference. The darkness is the same. Crash. The door does not open. It explodes inward. Splinters of wood fly across the room, pattering against the walls like hail. The lock mechanism tears free from the frame with a shriek of tortured metal. A beam of light, blinding, physical, violent, stabs into the room. It hits me in the face. I flinch, turning my head away. The pain in my eyes is white hot, as if a needle has been pushed into the pupil. My retinas, sensitized by the chemicals in the gloom, scream in protest. Hände hoch, sofort! The shout is deafening in the small space. I try to obey. I try to lift my hands. My left arm rises, shaking, trembling like a leaf in a gale. My right arm, the arm with the pen, drags. It is heavy. I manage to lift it 3 inches off the table. It hovers there, the pen dangling, the rag trailing like a bandage. Steps, fast, aggressive. A boot kicks the chair leg. Aufstehen! Stand up! I can't, I whisper. My voice is a dry rasp, barely audible. A hand grabs my collar, rough wool, leather gloves. I am hauled upward. My legs buckle instantly. I am a marionette with cut strings. The soldier lets me fall back into the chair. He curses. The beam of the flashlight swings away from my face. It sweeps the room. It illuminates the table. The soldier sees the evidence. He sees the empty bottles of lactic acid, the saucer of blue paste made from laundry soap, the potato, shriveled and stained, sitting next to the razor blade, the pile of paper scraps, the trimmings of the photographs, and the smell, the undeniable, stinging stench of the forgery. The flashlight beam stops on the potato. The soldier reaches out. He picks it up. He looks at the reverse carving of the Marianne. He drops it. It lands with a soft thud. Fälscher, he spits. Forger. Another man steps forward. An officer. I can tell by the shine of his boots in the scattered light. He smells of tobacco and expensive leather. He walks to the drying line. It is empty. He walks to the table. It is empty. He turns the flashlight back to me. The beam hits my chest, then moves down to my hands. He sees the blue stains. My fingers are dyed a deep, permanent indigo, the mark of the trade. The ink has gone into the pores, under the fingernails, into the cut on my arm. He steps closer. He looks at my right hand. He sees the pen tied to my paralyzed fingers with a dirty rag. He stands there for a long moment. "Where are the papers?" he asks. His French is perfect, accented only by a slight sharpness. I lift my head. I look into the blinding light. I cannot see his face, only the halo of the bulb. "Gone," I croak. "Gone where?" "To the wind," I say. "To the water. You cannot catch the wind." He strikes me. It is a backhanded slap, casual, almost lazy, but his ring catches my cheekbone. The skin splits. I feel the warm trickle of blood running down into my beard, mixing with the blue ink. My head snaps to the side, but I do not fall. I am too heavy with exhaustion to fall. 300 children, the officer says softly. "We have the manifest from the orphanage. We know they are moving. You made the papers." I say nothing. "If you tell us where the courier went," he says, leaning in close, his breath hot on my ear, "I will let you sleep. You look tired, Jew. Don't you want to sleep?" Sleep. The word is more beautiful than any prayer. To close my eyes, to let the darkness take me, to stop the burning in my spine. "Yes," I whisper, "I want to sleep." "Then tell me." I imagine the train station. I imagine Henri and Mathilde. They are there by now. They are handing out the cards. Jean-Claude Hubert, Pierre Delacroix, Michel. I imagine the German guards at the checkpoint. They look at the cards. They see the blue stamp, the stamp I made from a potato. They see the signature I wrote with a broken hand. Do they see the tremor in the ink? Do they see the fear in the grain of the paper? No. They see the state. They see the bureaucracy. They see the lie that is stronger than the truth. They wave the children through. The whistle blows. The wheels turn. Steam hisses. I smile. My lips are cracked and bleeding, but I smile. "They are not Jews anymore," I say to the officer. "I washed them clean." The officer stares at me. He sees the smile. He understands that he is lost. He understands that while he holds the gun, I hold the future. He stands up straight. He adjusts his tunic. "Take him," he says to the soldiers. "Leave the chemicals. Burn the room." 2 soldiers grab me under the arms. They drag me out of the chair. My feet drag across the floorboards. I cannot walk, but I do not need to. I am floating. We move out onto the landing. The air in the stairwell is freezing, shocking my skin. As they drag me down the stairs, my right hand bumps against the banister. The pen is still tied to my finger. Tap, tap, tap. It taps against the wood, a final code. We reach the street. The sky is beginning to lighten. A pale, watery blue is bleeding into the horizon over the rooftops of Paris. It is the exact same shade as the ink I made. They throw me into the back of the truck. The metal bed is cold. I lie on my back. I look up at the canvas roof. I am going to Drancy, and then I am going east, to the place where the trains end. I know this. But as the engine roars to life, vibrating through my bones, I do not see the chimney stacks. I see the faces. I see David. I see Rachel. I see the baby, Michel. I see them sitting in a train carriage, watching the French countryside roll by. They are eating bread. They are safe. I look at my hand, resting on the floor of the truck. In the dim light, the blue stain on my skin looks like a bruise, or a jewel. I am 20 years old. I am an artist. I am a chemist. I am a forger. And I have just created a masterpiece. The truck lurches forward. I close my eyes. And finally, I sleep. The end. Epilogue. The ink that outlived the empire. Paris. 1965. 21 years later. I am walking down a street in the Marais district. It is raining. The pavement glistens, reflecting the neon sign of a bakery. I am 41 years old. I have a limp in my right leg. A souvenir from the forced march from Auschwitz to Buchenwald in the winter of '45. My lungs are weak. I cough when the air is too damp, but I am alive. I stop in front of a cafe. Through the glass, I see a man sitting at a table. He is young, perhaps 28. He is laughing with a woman. He has a gap between his front teeth. I freeze. I know that face. I know the shape of those ears. I know the exact curve of his hairline. I have never met him as an adult, but I know him better than his own mother does. I spent 40 minutes staring at his photograph in a freezing basement in 1944. I carved the stamp that gave him a new name. I glued his life together with flour paste and fear. Leo, that was his name. But on the paper, I named him Michel. I watch him. He orders a coffee. He looks happy. He has no idea that a man standing in the rain outside is the reason he is breathing. He has no idea that the ink on his birth certificate was made from laundry bluing and a forger's blood. I want to go in. I want to shake his hand. I want to say, I am Elias. I made you. But I do not. That is the rule of the forger. We are the ghosts. We do not exist. If we did our job perfectly, the lie becomes the truth, and the truth is forgotten. If I walk in there, I remind him of the terror. I remind him that he was hunted. So I turn up my collar against the rain. I watch him for one last second, a living, breathing testament to the power of resistance. I walk away. I am not a hero. I am just a technician. I was a mechanic of paper, but as I walk through the city of Paris, I see them everywhere. The children, the survivors. They are the invisible army I created in the dark. They are doctors now, teachers, fathers, mothers. They are the ink that never faded. Historical context and aftermath. The story you just heard is fiction, but it is heavily inspired by the incredible true life of Adolfo Kaminsky, 1925 to 2023. Kaminsky was a Jewish teenager in Nazi-occupied Paris. He was a brilliant chemist who joined the French resistance at age 17. His laboratory was exactly as described, a cramped, chemical-filled room where he worked tirelessly to save lives. The reality of the numbers. In our story, Elias forged papers for 300 children in 48 hours. In reality, Adolfo Kaminsky once stayed awake for 2 straight days and nights to produce documents for 300 children who were about to be rounded up. He calculated that if he slept for 1 hour, 30 people would die. So, he didn't sleep. By the end of the war, Adolfo Kaminsky and his network are estimated to have saved over 14,000 Jewish lives. The techniques. The technical details in this story are real. Lactic acid. Kaminsky discovered that lactic acid, which he bought from a dairy supply shop, was the only chemical that could dissolve the specific blue ink of the Juif stamp without destroying the paper. The laundry blue. The improvised ink recipe using Reckitt's blue or similar pigments was a known technique among resistance forgers when supplies ran dry. The potato stamp. While Kaminsky later mastered professional photolithography, early resistance fighters often used carved linoleum or rubber. The potato method is a famous myth of the resistance, often cited, sometimes used in desperation, representing the grit of using whatever was at hand. The fate of the forger. Unlike our protagonist Elias, Adolfo Kaminsky was never caught by the Germans during his forging operations, though he had many close calls. He survived the war. He kept his work a secret for decades, living a quiet life as a photographer. He did not speak about his wartime heroism for nearly 60 years, believing that he had simply done what had to be done. He passed away in January 2023 at the age of 97. He was known as the Forger of Paris. Author's note: this story, God's Counterfeiter, is dedicated to the silent warriors of World War II. We often focus on the soldiers, the pilots, and the generals. But there was another war fought in basements and attics. A war fought with chemistry, stamps, and an unshakable belief in the sanctity of human life. One document, one life. If you felt the weight of the silence in that room, if you could smell the acid and the fear, then please honor the memory of the resistance by hitting the like button. It helps these stories reach more people. We release new, immersive history narratives every week. Make sure you are subscribed and have the bell notification turned on so you don't miss the next chapter of history. Tell us in the comments, if you had a specific skill, chemistry, mechanics, art, how would you have used it in the resistance? Until the next time, history is watching.